What's up, everybody? Happy Friday and welcome to the Early Edge. A big day in the chat. I see people are already at the Cubs games. Rick Funcannon, saw the tweet you sent out out to us. We got a lot to cover today. Maybe we'll throw in a play on this Cubs game. Who knows? What did we do yesterday, though? Let's see what the recap screen holds. Well, this isn't very good. Not a lot of green here. Listen, this day, let's be honest, turned on Hideki Matsuyama. We both had that pick. It's back-to-back days where we had the same pick in there, and it lost. Hideki missing a 3.5-footer on the last hole, which would have pushed the bet for us. He had a birdie look to win the bet on that very same hole. But listen, we can't cry over spilled milk. We got to move on. James in the chat. Bradley Jacobs is in the chat. Isidore, David Talk, Chad Eubanks, hit the like button if you could. We got to bring James Valdez. We got to bring the energy up. James Valdez says BPE. I'm not 100% sure what that stands for. Oh, wait, let's bring him in right now. It's BPE Friday. Man, it is different without Chip, huh? Happy Euros, Buckets. Loving the scarf, loving the flag. Mike into his book, as always. Proppy, let me start with you. You're not always here on a BPE Friday. How you doing today?
I'm good, Sia. Good morning, gentlemen. What's going on? Hello to the chat. It's been a slow, sluggish week at Propstarz HQ. I'm ready to turn things around. I'm feeling good. It's Friday. We got a good baseball slate starting with an early game. So, yeah, I'm ready to break it down and get after it, Sia.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's been a bad couple of days on the betting front. We do have to turn it around. I think we have the right guys to do it, Buckets. I don't know if you're cold or you're just super excited for Euros 2024. Which is it?
I am super excited for Euros 2024. I'm doing my best to represent the Deutschland, the German national team. I got the scarf. I got the turtleneck. I got the hair slicked back. It's about 85 degrees in my apartment, and I'm sweating bullets, but excited for the matches.
Buckets, can I just tell you, whatever you've got going on with the turtleneck, and I'm anti-turtleneck, and the scarf and the hair, everything's looking perfect. You're a 10 out of 10 today. I just got to tell you that right off the bat.
Wait, why?
Go ahead.
Why are you anti-turtleneck?
Because everybody's anti-turtleneck. Nobody wears turtlenecks. It's not a thing. No. Just say no to the turtleneck. Mike, you're always looking good. How you doing today, buddy?
I am good. See, I've been up early, sweating some golf already. Just what a brutal course these guys have to deal with out there. So I enjoy some of the carnage. I'm the guy that likes Big Ten football unders where we see a field goal in the first half of a game. That's what this feels like. So I'm in a great mood this morning.
Yeah, I mean, listen, at the U.S. Open, when things go sideways, particularly at Pinehurst #2, they're just going to go sideways. It's just going to keep kind of spilling down. I had a couple of morning matchups. We'll see how they go. I think I'm down on one of them, tied in the other one. But I have some leans for the afternoon. I don't have any official plays. If you have any golf matchups that you see that you like, put them in the chat. I'll bounce them off Mike. I will answer them for you as well. And maybe we can get some leans into plays for all of us. All right, let's talk about baseball first. We actually have a really cool new promo from BetMGM. But before we even get there, let's talk SportsLine home run prop picks. Aaron Judge leads. Listen, this Yankees game, we might hear about it later. They play Bayo and the Red Sox. Kind of like how the Yankees stack up in this game. Aaron Judge plus 200. Juan Soto plus 400. Stanton. These guys are all on the same team, folks. Plus 375. Pete Alonso and then Luis Robert at plus 310. Mike, I'm going to start with you. Any of these guys jumping out at you or maybe somebody off the board?
I would say the one that jumps out is probably Soto being the longest odds of the three of his teammates there. I know he does draw a tremendous number of walks that does eat into some of that. But for me, I'm going to go off the board. I'm going Matt Olson here from the Atlanta Braves. I really like this matchup for the Braves today. Excellent hitting environment. So I'll be playing a little Matt Olson around plus 300 number for Olson today.
Off the board, Buckets-esque. Okay, Propstarz. By the way, Snug the Cat says turtlenecks are so bad that even turtles won't wear them. That's funny. Rick Funcannon says M2 is a boss. All right, Propstarz, you're a boss as well. Do you like any of these guys, or are you also going off the board?
I am also going off the board, and I'm going to go with the hottest hitter in baseball. And I'm not talking about Aaron Judge. I'm talking about a guy with a 900 slugging percentage and a 1,300 OPS, none other than former first overall pick, Royce Lewis of the Minnesota Twins, who's just been absolutely unbelievable 10 games up in the majors so far this year, 5 home runs. As I mentioned, the 900 slugging percentage. He's had multi-hit games, I think, in 8 of those 10 games. He's just been incredible. If you haven't watched this guy, looks like one of the most talented hitters I've ever seen. I'm going to take Royce Lewis facing Oakland in Minnesota today. I believe it's around plus 330, so decent number there. And 5 home runs through 10 games. Let's go with the phenomenally talented Royce Lewis to go yard today.
All right, go the yard. Speaking of going the yard, buckets, 2 things. One is Big Cheesy says, I haven't worn a turtleneck since my 1st grade Christmas play. Interesting comment there. But I understand, buckets, that you may have invested some funds in a new dice for perhaps home run props. Is that true, or did I just make that up?
You did not make that up. I actually invested in multiple dice because for whatever reason, my wonderful angel sweetheart Freya loves eating dye more than anything else on the planet, including her food or just like pork chops or anything. So she has eaten multiple of these dice. So I have to order them in bulk now just to make sure that I have one available, like this little 20-sided bad boy for my home run prop. I've got a list of 20 different MLB players using the right terminology. Proud of myself. And each one of them is assigned to a number. So Sia, I'm going to roll this dice on the floor next to me, and then we are going to see who my spreadsheet tells me who to bet. Okay,
This is
that work?
amazing.
Wait, hold up, Buckets.
Yeah.
Do we know if Buckets included pitchers in his list of players? Are you going to give us a pitcher's name?
Only one way to find out.
I hope not. I did notice that one of them was plus 2,800, so I'm hoping it doesn't land on that guy because that's probably a pitcher, if I'm being honest. But let's see where we end up here. All right, I rolled a 9. Now I go to my spreadsheet. 9 is Dalton Varsho to go yard at plus 750, Sia. So hopefully not a pitcher because that feels like a heavy number.
Mike, any reaction to that home run play?
Anytime you can back the number 7 hitter at home and left on left, you got to do it. So yeah, give me some Dalton Varsho against the lefty Logan Allen. Varsho is a talented hitter for sure. He really is. So Dalton Varsho.
Yeah, it's plus 750. Proppy, this is a lock, right?
I think so. I think you got to take this one straight to the sports book, straight to the kiosk if you can.
A very enthusiastic endorsement from all of us. I'm going to sprinkle on Varsho. And if this hits, you need to get a sponsorship from whatever that dice company is, that 20-sided dice.
Absolutely.
All right. Speaking of home runs, don't forget what we told you last Friday with respect to the new BetMGM home run promotion. BetMGM customers have a chance to cash in big on homers this season. Customers can place a $10 or more wager on any player to hit a home run every weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And if the player hits a grand slam on that day, they can win the $50,000 daily prize or a share of the prize with every other winning bettor. Log into the BetMGM app for more details. You know what's interesting about that? If you bet on Varsho and he hits a grand slam, I bet you're not splitting that $50,000 with anybody because nobody's picking Varsho at plus 750. That's the play, folks. I'm doing it. All right, Buckets, we go right back to you because it was somebody in the chat. It was probably Bradley Jacobs. Maybe Chris Kish is in there as well. A lot of the soccer cappers or soccer fanatics in the chat talking Euros 2024. You have 2 plays today. Are they both Euros 2024? Oh, finally. It's finally happened. It's finally happened. Buckets, you've been flawless the entire year on the mute button. We got you.
Well, that's not a good sign for my month-long Euro bets I've got coming up now. But yes, we are betting on the Euros. We will be today. We will be tomorrow. We will be for the better part of the next month. And I know what everyone is saying because today we have the opening match of Euros 2024, Germany versus Scotland. And everyone is expecting me to say, Auf geht's Deutschland, ich liebe dich, mein Deutschland. They expect me to be very happy for my German squad playing because Germany, on paper, is the much better team here. But Germany also has been abysmal for the past damn near a decade now. This is a team that has had disappointing competition after disappointing competition, and they're hoping that Julian Nagelsmann can turn this team around as they host the Euros this season. But as always, I do not bet with my heart. I bet with my wallet. And when I'm looking at the numbers in this matchup, I see some very, very good lines for Scotland. Every single player on Scotland is plus odds to have a single shot on target against a German squad that averages in the last 6 months giving up 5.2 shots on target per game. I'm looking at Scotland, and I'm looking at one guy in specific. I'm looking at Lawrence Shanklin. And if you've heard of this name, it's because you remember cashing him to score for Hearts of Midlothian all season long in the Scottish Prem. This is a guy who, with the national team, hasn't been doing the best, but he is one of those guys that will shoot from anywhere. So for him to have a single shot on target at plus 15, give me Lawrence Shanklin, give me John McGinn, give me Ryan Christie, give me all these guys to shoot, because that leads into my second bet. Scotland as a team to have 3 or more shots on target at minus 120. Again, I'm not saying Scotland will win. I actually think Germany will win this game, maybe 2-1, 3-1 scoreline. So I do like BTTS as well. But Scotland, especially when they go down eventually in this matchup, they're going to be pressing and firing from everywhere, desperate to get a point out of this. I love Scotland to have at least 3 shots on target because, again, this German defense is not how they win games right now.
All right. Like the plays, like the scarf, like everything, like Varsho, like everything Bucks is doing today. A lot of the chat is loving that too. By the way, another shout out to Rick Funcannon, who is literally at Wrigley Field right now watching the early edge. I just absolutely love that. And a couple, before we get to the SportsLine pick, a couple of golf thoughts. Mike, I might want to bounce one of these off you, and I haven't even gotten to all of them yet. There is a Connors minus 130 over Zalatoris that I think it was Sean Atlam that was interested in. I'm not super intrigued by that one. I mean, I just don't like that one either way. It's a stay away. But there was an interesting one from David Talk. He says, Ben Hun on over Sam Bennett and Eduardo Molinari. I looked at that too right before the show. It was minus 120 in a lot of places. Again, that's a 3-ball. That should be everywhere. I really wanted to pull the trigger on Hunan, Mike, but I didn't. Sam Bennett had a good day yesterday. I expect him to regress. What I was really shocked by, though, was Eduardo Molinari was good, too, and he hit a bunch of fairways, and he had a ton of greens in regulation. Like, his greens in regulation number was one of the best, and he's not a great player, but it was one of the best in round one. So I felt like now I'm pulling for 2 guys to regress, but Ben is definitely the more talented of the 2. So I like the play. I just don't love it. Any thoughts on either of those 2, Mike?
I would lean there on that 3-ball you're talking about. Bennett is someone I would want to look to bet against if you can. He was essentially the best golfer in the field other than Pavon and Woodland with the putter yesterday. I believe he gained I'm looking at over 3 strokes on the putting surfaces yesterday. Do not expect that to continue. So if I had to play it, I would be betting against Bennett.
Yeah, and I guess I would expect Eduardo Molinari of all players to regress as well. I mean, there's just no question Ben is the more talented guy. So I do think it's a good find. I definitely lean in that direction. I'll be honest, it was a play I was considering to bring onto the show. So that tells you that I'm not on it, but I certainly was looking at it pretty strongly. All right, let's get to the SportsLine pick before we get to Proppy's pick, before we get to Mike's pick, before we get to my pick. Celtics Mavs under 211.5 minus 110. I always kind of liked the under in this one. When the line came out, I was a little confused by the side. I didn't really know how to play that, but our SportsLine pick is the under in Celts Mavs. And Proppy, I'm going to go to you here. I know you don't play a lot of sides. I don't know if you have props on this game on SportsLine because I haven't checked yet this morning, but what do you think of this game? I mean, the Mavericks being favored, the way Luka is looking, particularly on the defensive end of the floor, it feels like a pretty tough sell. Where are you at on this one?
Yeah, I think Boston wants to end the series tonight, and I think Boston has kind of historically played with their food a little bit, and they've not been able to close out teams. So I think we're going to see a Boston team. They've also blown some big leads throughout this series even. So I think we're going to see an inspired performance by Boston. They don't want the series to continue. They don't want to give the Mavericks even a glimmer of hope. When you're talking about Luka Doncic, he's such a fantastic player that even down or up 3-0 against Luka, you're still not fully comfortable in that spot. So I think Boston takes care of business. I just think they ultimately have the superior team 1 through 5, just not seeing enough contributions from Dallas's other players. And then on top of that, when Luka's not at his best, it's hard to beat this Boston team. That's just fantastic top to bottom. So I ultimately think Boston prevails in this game.
Yeah, Mike, I think Luka could have a huge game. And listen, I've been on Dallas. I've been wrong on Dallas this entire series, but the last couple of games in particular, it's just like he's such a target on defense that to me, no matter his offensive production, the Celtics are just going to be able to attack him on the offensive end. I just think it's too much for Dallas to overcome. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I generally agree. I mean, Boston is clearly the deeper team. Luka's very talented, Kyrie's very talented. They could definitely win this game on their home floor. I liked him a little bit in the last game and ultimately ended up only betting over on Kyrie Irving points. If you like Dallas, I would essentially do the same thing tonight, but with Luka at 32.5.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see really any scenario that the Mavs win this game without 35 from Luka. And I do see the scenario where Luka scores 35 and they lose still. So this is, for me, I'm not playing anything here. I'm completely out on the NBA for the rest of the year. But if I were to play something, I want to see Dallas respond at home. But I think the better play is probably Luka points, just because I don't see them winning without, like I said, 35 points from Luka here.
Yeah, fair enough. And again, the sports line pick, which I lean towards the under this one, is Celtics Mavs under 211.5. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get to the rest of the picks. I see there's other 3 balls that have been put in the chat for us to consider, so I'll check those out as well. But before we do any of that, let's hear a message from our partners.
We need your sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
We are back on the early edge presented by BetMGM. Another 3 ball from Big Cheesy. It says Connors over Jaeger and Grillo, round 2 3 ball. Plus 120. I don't mind the number. This does seem like a course Jaeger could succeed at. Grillo, I'm not particularly worried about. I don't hate it. It's not something I'm going to bet, but the lean would be to Connors there. All right, Proppy, you've got a baseball pick. And if I recall, I think Mike McClure liked this very pitcher a couple of weeks ago on the early edge and endorsed him. And I got to say, he has rebounded since a hilarious outing in the beginning of the season against the Kansas City Royals. I thought he was going to be a target of mine the rest of the way. Well, certainly not. Talk to me about Hunter Brown and what do you like about him today?
Yeah, sure, Sia. Yeah, I like Hunter Brown to go over 16.5 outs today against Detroit at home in Houston. Hunter Brown's had an interesting season, got off to a really poor start as far as his raw counting stats were concerned, but he's been a lot better recently, particularly over his last 4 starts, 4 consecutive quality starts, 4 consecutive starts where he's gone over the 16.5 outs line as well. His ERA has dropped after a really rough start. If we look under the hood at some of the underlying metrics, his expected ERA is significantly lower than his ERA. So you could even make the argument that he is a serious positive regression candidate as well. His expected ERA is around 4, while his actual ERA is close to 6. He's also pitched much better at home, which is in his favor today as well, facing this Tigers lineup. Not particularly good. They're 22nd in OPS against opposing right-handed pitching, so I think this is a favorable matchup for him. I think he ultimately goes 6 innings pitched today, so love this spot for Hunter Brown at 16.5 outs. I do feel it's an out too shy. So, yeah, hopefully he gets in a solid 6 outs today and keeps his streak alive.
All right, like the play. Hey, Mike, we've got a question for you from Allie Lonzak. She's shooting for the stars here, literally and figuratively, because these 2 guys are stars, Luka and Tatum. She asks, Luka Tatum triple-double, as in both of them get a triple-double, is plus 10,000 and change. It's interesting. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, this is one we talked about this on CBS Sports HQ. I did play it. They missed it by 1 total Tatum rebound once. The price points moved a lot, though. It was around 15,000, 14,700. Went back down into the 5,000 range before the last game. For me personally, I think that it's fine if you want to have fun. It's a very small play at that particular point, but that's right around a fair value price. It was like a 10,700-ish was like the fair value price. So yeah, you can lean into it and have fun with it if you want, but not something you need to run out and rush to bet for sure.
Certainly there's a narrative that Luka can lay it out all on the floor today. I mean, even though he's injured, like this is the, he's going to be doing everything he can to keep the series going, and Tatum doing everything he can to perhaps regain possession of the MVP when the Celtics ultimately win. So if there was a game to do it, I know, Mike, you had already mentioned it on HQ before, but that's a very interesting take. All right, let's go to my play, because in the chat, it's Isidore, or is it Isidore? I'm not 100% sure. Thoughts on Luis Hill to record the win plus 140. Well, I do like that against the Red Sox, but I'm actually going with the first 5 like I normally do. Yankees first 5 minus a half. I'm leaning into Luis Gil. This is not the first time I bet him. Absolutely love this young guy, and he's just mowing batters down. Now, the Red Sox, they can play. These bats have been relatively hot in the top half of the league over the last, well, really the whole season, but certainly nothing super deficient about these Red Sox bats, but it's Luis Gil on the mound. And I love the fact that Bayo is on the mound for the Boston Red Sox, because listen, I thought this guy had some potential about a year ago, and maybe he does, but the ERA isn't there. The advanced metrics aren't there. He got absolutely touched up by, wait for it, the Chicago White Sox and the Detroit Tigers over his last 2. Now you get the New York Yankees. I don't care if it's at home or not. And frankly, the Yankees are great on the road. So I like this price. I don't usually like laying the half a run, but in the case of the Yankees coming off a loss, typically just hitting up all kinds of pitchers. And I think Bayo is going to be in line for one of those pitchers just because of the matchup. I'll go ahead and lay the half a run. If you want to take the better price at plus 140 for Gil to record the win, I certainly don't hate that either, but I'm just going to lay the half a run in the first 5. All right. That is my pick. I'm going to be looking for other questions before we get out of here. But also before we get out of here, we got to hear finally Mike McClure's pick. Mike, you're going to the Diamond as well.
I am, Sia. We're going to look at the Tampa Bay Rays, Atlanta Braves, and per usual, make sure you're on SportsLine. Get a notification. Played this last night at 8. It has moved to 8.5 across the market. It has not ticked to 9 yet. I believe the game should be set at 9, which would require 10 runs to cash an over. So you do still have the same win condition. You do lose the push condition, but I would still play it at 8.5 as the win condition is the same. Extremely strong hitting environment tonight in Atlanta. You're going to see this and probably hear a little bit about it over the next few, probably 7 days or so. We're having a massive heat wave across the country in certain parts. Even here in Nashville, we're going to see 97. Very, very warm temperatures, very friendly for hitting baseballs. That is especially true in Atlanta, where you typically get hot temperatures and decent levels of humidity, which makes the baseball carry. And it's a big positive park shift for the Tampa Bay Rays when you look at that offense. That offense has been much better against left-handed pitching. Yes, I know Chris Sale is on the mound. The time where Chris Sale is vulnerable is in the summer months because he gives up that home run ball. When I look at Chris Sale, the slider's still elite. The fastball, though, is actually below Major League Baseball average this season. That's where I think the Rays are going to be able to tag him for a few runs here. Zach Littell on the other side, though, someone who's been okay, but has some pretty significant splits in terms of home and away when you look at weighted on base average. That's where I think he's going to struggle here. It jumps over 60 points on the road. Again, a lot of that is correlated to leaving that indoor environment, playing in some of the better hitting environments here. But for me, it's a spot where I think we see runs. It's going to play like a mid to late summer game in Atlanta today. I think we see runs on both sides. I went over 8. Over 8 tonight in Atlanta.
All right, over 8 in Atlanta at minus 120. And before we pull up the recap screen, David Talk, he likes Hunter Brown too, over 5.5 Ks. Big Cheesy likes the Cubs to score first. Bradley Jacobs has a soccer play. Ho Chi Minh City versus Nam Dinh, both teams to score. He has a stat for you to consider as well. Bradley's been on fire. And then, of course, Rick Funcannon. We got to leave. Actually, listen, Buckets, I don't know if you've been capping Vietnam stock, or do you like the Bradley Jacobs play? I should go to you on that one.
I don't actually do a lot with Vietnam because it's hard to find it on books that we can use here in the States. But I will say from the little I know, it is a very goal-heavy league. So overs and BTTS tend to be the standard there.
All right. Support for Bradley Jacobs in the chat. But here's the big support. Rick Funcannon, who's at Wrigley Field, and this game starts at 2:20. So in like 3 or 4 hours, you're there early, Rick. Good for you. He likes Cubs cards, no run first inning. So maybe that's the community play because Rick is going to be there. Cubs cards, no run first inning. Let's check that one out. Maybe I'll check that box as well. All right. I think I got to most of the questions and comments. Let's take a look at the recap screen. Mike McClure, Rays Braves over 8, minus 120. I've got the Yankees first 5, minus a half at minus 115. Buckets, Shankland over a half. SOT shots on what's that, Buckets?
So it's Lauren Shanklin, over 0.5 shots on target in the match.
Shots on target, plus 115. I need to pay more attention. Scotland, over 3 shots on target. See, I learned quickly. Minus 115, Propstarz. Hunter Brown, over 16.5 outs at minus 115. And our sports line play, Celtics, Mavs, under 211.5. Ladies and gentlemen, we had so many more plays in the chat. Let's hope those ones hit as well. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just looking for last second questions, but let's just go with what Big Cheesy said. He said, good luck today, fam. Listen, let's have some good luck. Let's have a good recap stream for tomorrow morning's early edge at 10 o'clock in the morning. Let's have a great Friday. Let's cash some tickets. Let's stay positive in our bank accounts and with our mindset. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the early edge. On behalf of Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s and 5s and 6s, Mike McClure, buckets and his dice, and of course, Propstarz. I am the Counselor of Cash. This is the Early Edge. We rest our case.